Hey everybody, Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com to talk about the Money in the Bank cash-ins that have occurred over the years. What I'm going to do today is rank the Money in the Bank cash-ins from the best to the worst, in my opinion, of course. So let's start off with the best. In my opinion, the best Money in the Bank cash-in would no doubt have to be the first one. Edge cashing in Money in the Bank on John Cena at New Year's Revolution 2006. This was the one that set the standard for future Money in the Bank cash-ins. This was a turning point in the career of Edge. Edge had been an upper mid-card level superstar up to this point. When he cashed it in, the pop he got, it was one of the biggest pops ever in WWE history when Edge cashed it in on John Cena, who had just competed in a brutal Elimination Chamber match, and Edge took advantage of the situation. He became, this was the beginning of Edge's new character. This is where the ultimate opportunist character really kicked in with Edge in this segment. And, he developed the rated R superstar character around this time with Lita. This was really the point where Edge became a main event superstar in WWE. So this was my all-time favorite. And my second favorite would have to be from this year, actually. Dolph Ziggler cashing it in the night after WrestleMania 29. There was talk about when Ziggler would cash it in. At the time, I thought it would be best for him to cash it in at WrestleMania at the biggest show of the year. But in hindsight, I actually think WWE made the right decision to have it take place on Raw the night after. Just because you had that crowd reaction. The night after Raw, you have all these fans from all over the world that attended WrestleMania. They converge on this small 20,000 seat arena, and the atmosphere is unique. You only get it once or twice a year. And when Dolph Ziggler cashed it in on Del Rio, he got one of the biggest pops ever. It was a Steve Austin or Rock level pop that he got when he won the title. The fans were so happy. For so many years, they wanted to see Dolph Ziggler win the world title. And yes, he did win it a few years back, but let's all try to forget about that. Ziggler finally won the title legit here, no screw job or anything. He cashed it in and won the title, and the fans were so happy about it. It was one of the greatest Raw moments of the year and in recent memory, for that matter. Next up, Rob Van Dam cashing it in on John Cena at One Night Stand in 2006. This was unique because it wasn't RVD cashing it in on somebody as a surprise. He was announcing in advance when he was going to cash in Money in the Bank, and it was the absolute perfect venue for him to do it. ECW One Night Stand, it's his home promotion, his old promotion, and it's in front of the ECW faithful. It's in the Hammerstein Ballroom, New York City. So there's not a better place RVD could compete for the WWE title. So this was significant just because of that. And the match itself, there's no other match like it in WWE where you had the people so behind one guy and so against another. Every single person in that building was behind RVD. And John Cena, he's been booed out of the building a lot, but I still think of all the matches he's had over the years, I think that this was the one where he got the absolute worst heat. He was trying to throw his t-shirt out to the fans. They kept throwing it back at him. You had the signs that said, if Cena wins, we riot. There was nothing like it in WWE prior and nothing since. That's how unique it was. And the only thing I didn't like was Edge interfering and helping RVD win the title. I would have rather seen a clean finish, but that's just nitpicking. RVD won the title, and one of the great moments in WWE history right there. Next is CM Punk's first Money in the Bank cash-in 2008. He cashed it in on Edge. Edge had just been attacked by Batista, and I really liked this because it was Edge getting a taste of his own medicine. He had become known for cashing it in on people when they weren't expecting it, who were attacked or whatever, and this time it was Edge being the one that got the Money in the Bank cashed on him. So I liked this, and this was a turning point for CM Punk. This was his first world title win, and I liked Lawler's reaction to it. Punk wins, Punk wins. So yeah, I mean this was one of the all-time memorable Money in the Bank cash-ins in my opinion. Next up is The Miz cashing it in on Randy Orton. This was after Survivor Series. Randy Orton had a match with Wade Barrett. After the match, The Miz came out, cashed it in. And what I really liked about this cash-in was the reaction of the crowd, and in particular, that little girl. I mean, that reaction was priceless, and that really put over the Miz's win, and she became known as the Angry Miz Girl. So she really made this segment very memorable, and this was something significant because the Miz didn't seem like a likely WWE champion. People never thought he would win the title, so he proved all of his doubters wrong here. So I mean, it was very significant. CM Punk's second Money in the Bank cash-in. This was 2009. Jeff Hardy had a ladder match with Edge at Extreme Rules, and after the match, CM Punk came out, cashed it in. This was the start of CM Punk's heel turn. So this was definitely a turning point in his career as well. It was a fairly standard Money in the Bank cash-in, but I mean, I think it's memorable because of the fact that it led to the CM Punk heel turn in the Straight Edge Society and all that. Daniel Bryan's Money in the Bank cash-in in 2011. Your typical situation by this point. Big Show and Mark Henry had a match for the world title. Big Show beat Mark Henry, and then Daniel Bryan came out and took advantage of the situation. And this was a little bit of a surprise because in the months prior, Bryan said that he was going to wait until WrestleMania to cash it in. So he ended up cashing it in as a shock and a surprise. And this was the beginning of Daniel Bryan's rise. I mean, after this, he would come out, he'd start doing the yes, and pointing to the belt, World Heavyweight Champion. And this is when he really started to get over with the people, when he won the world title here. And he actually had a really great run with the title until, of course, when it ended at WrestleMania in that 9-second match or whatever. Alberto Del Rio's cash-in at SummerSlam 2011. I was there in person for this, and the crowd went crazy for Del Rio. Once again, it's your usual situation here, so that's why it's not ranked higher, because it was a fairly typical cash-in. Where CM Punk had won the WWE title, retained it, whatever. They had the unification match thing. And you had Diesel, Kevin Nash, come out as a surprise out of nowhere, powerbombing CM Punk. And then that cues Del Rio. He comes out, cashes it in, wins the title. And, LA is has a heavy Hispanic audience. And, there were a lot of Hispanic fans in the crowd, and they were just going nuts for it. So, I mean... I really liked this cash-in, partly because I was there in person, but, it was still a big moment for Del Rio, no doubt about it. Edge cashing in 2007. This was the second time that Edge cashed it in on somebody, and he did it once again in surprise fashion, Ultimate Opportunist. Undertaker had just had a cage match with Batista, and then Mark Henry came out and laid out The Undertaker. That gave Edge the opportunity to come out and cash it in. The thing I didn't really like about this is that Edge wasn't the person that won the Money in the Bank match. It was Mr. Kennedy that won Money in the Bank, and then he ended up getting injured, and they had to take the title, they had to take the briefcase away from him because he was hurt, and they thought he was going to be out of action for a while. As it turns out, his injury wasn't as severe, so they didn't really need to take the briefcase away from him, but they ended up doing it. They changed plans, and Edge ended up going to SmackDown, and that was significant because he was a superstar in Raw, and he would go on to be a top superstar in SmackDown. And now my bottom two. First is Kane. It was cool to see Kane finally win a proper world title and have a proper run with it. Because his only other title reign was when he beat Steve Austin in 1998 at the King of the Ring and held it for one day. In this case, it was cool to see him finally win the title again. Although once again, it's the usual situation. Rey Mysterio had defended the world title against Jack Swagger, and Kane came out afterwards and cashed it in. It was interesting because it was the first time somebody cashed in Money in the Bank on the same night. So I mean, I liked that, but for somebody who's like Kane, who's this monster, he doesn't really need to cash it in on somebody as a surprise. So perhaps they could have done it a little bit differently. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this one. And finally, I think pretty much everybody will agree with me on this one. The worst Money in the Bank cash in, besides when the cat ran in, but when John Cena cashed it in at 2012 on the 1000th edition of Raw. This was just lame. I mean, there was really no point. I mean, the only purpose it served, I think, was to promote the 1000th Raw and have a big match for that. John Cena won Money in the Bank, and I like the fact that they have up-and-coming superstars winning Money in the Bank, guys that you're going to build as the future of the company. So I didn't like Cena winning it. They could have just had Cena win some other kind of match to get the title shot against CM Punk. But whatever. I mean, they wanted to build up the 1000th Raw and do something special. So John Cena cashed it in on that show against CM Punk. And then it ends with Big Show doing a run-in, and there's a DQ. And then because of that, John Cena is the first guy to be unsuccessful. Just a huge letdown. I didn't like the storyline and having it end on a DQ. Not a big fan of it at all. So, in my opinion, no doubt the worst of the Money in the Bank cash-ins. All right, that'll do it for my thoughts on the Money in the Bank cash-ins. Make sure you stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the very latest news and rumors regarding Money in the Bank, the pay-per-view coming up. And thank you very much for watching the video.